Welcome back to our special Bihar coverage, where we are bringing you the big result, the battle for Bihar. In just about half an hour from now, the EVMs, the electronic voting machines, will be opened, and then we expect counting to be done thick and fast in a state that has a reputation for quick counting. Biharis, when it comes to politics, you can't beat them even on counting day. Therefore, we're going to put the 10 big X factors. What is going to decide this big Bihar verdict? And then I'll get all our studio guests to tell us where they stand on this. A, who have the women voted for? This is an election where the women vote could be critical. Is there a strong youth factor? Have the youth swung in one way? Remember, about 1.7 crores voters in Bihar are under the age of 29. That's 25% of the total voters. Has the BJP gained the Dalit vote? Is a critical factor. Who has gained the EBC, the extremely backward caste? They're about 30% of the state. Who has gained this critical silent voter? Has there been a religious polarization in parts of Bihar, particularly phase 5, where there were large Muslim pockets? Have smaller parties and independents, the likes of Pappu Yadav, the likes of Owaisi, split the vote in any meaningful manner? Is there a sharp rural-urban divide? Remember, traditionally BJP is stronger in urban Bihar than in rural parts. Will Lalu be an advantage or an Achilles for Team Nitish? Many believe Nitish minus Lalu was the way middle-class Bihar wanted this election to play out. Will BJP's allies, Paswan and Kushwaha, be an asset or liability? And we could also say whether the Congress will be an asset or liability. Remember, 40 seats that it's contesting. And number 10, will the price of dal, and I put this because dal was an issue when I saw it on the streets of Bihar, will dal influence voting patterns? Those are some of the 10 issues that we are going to be looking at. Manisha Priyam is joining me now, India lead with the London School of Economics. You have a great in-depth look at Bihar over the years. Your sense, is there an X factor that we should be looking at in this election that you believe could be critical as those votes start getting counted?
Women, especially EBC women, who are eagerly coming out and saying that they've benefited from the model of development that Nitish put around. So that is a local model of development that brings out the whole story of Modi's development versus Nitish's development. The other thing is item number 8 or 9 on your list, but that's the price of dal. I do remember that at the time of the Lok Sabha voting, women and the Dalits said that we are voting for the Kamal Chap largely because of inflation, and the other one was unemployment. But they had expected the Modi government to deliver on these. Are they looking at the vote for Modi government in 2014 as a conditional vote? And are they looking at those terms once again? I think those are the things I would be looking out for.
Yeah, we should also look at this in the context of what happened in 2014 and what happened now. 2014, in the general elections, if you extrapolate that into the assembly, the Mahagathbandhan was leading in just 64 of the 243. The NDA-led alliance was leading in 172. And that's as early or as late as May of 2014, just about 18 months ago. That election was a complete Modi wave election. And that's what we want to see. Has that wave sustained itself? Who better to answer that than Sambit Patra, who's joining us early this morning. Sambit, you know, it's unfair almost on politicians to call you before the counting begins, because I know you're going to say you're winning. But if you were honest with yourself, under that lovely smile of yours, are you nervous this morning for once?
But I would like to begin the day by wishing you all and saying Jai Chanakya. That's the new way we have started wishing all our friends. And secondly,
I thought you were going to say Happy Diwali, but you know, that's in 3 days from now. But Jai Chanakya, yes, Chanakya came from the land of Bihar, and you're relying on an exit pollster. That's a good sign. Tell me.
In fact, I was just going to the Twitter just before sitting for your discussion, and there was a fantastic post by some of our supporters, and say today is Andhera chhatega, Suraj niklega, Kamal khilega. So I'm sure in Bihar there would be parivartana. I'm sure that the victory this time in Bihar is victory of development. And I've been participating in umpteen number of debates this last few days, I mean exit polls and all that. One common sense that comes out everywhere is if NDA wins, it is victory in Rajya Sabha as as well. Victory for Bihar definitely, victory in Rajya Sabha as well. The numbers of BJP in Rajya Sabha would swell up, and that would help in passage of bills, much required bills for the development of this nation. So definitely it is a time when Bihar would march ahead as well as India. So together, what Mr. Modi has been reiterating, that India and Bihar both need to march ahead together.
Your numbers in the Rajya Sabha will improve, but you can only get a majority, I think, if 2018. If you get everything right, it's about 2018, Javed, I think that they will get there. But Sambit, I must say, innumerable debates. You will get a Guinness Book of Records one of these days for the number of debates you participated in the last 1 year. I'm willing to have a bet that you are the most watched face on Indian TV now. Only Narendra Modi is watched more than you. So you can, I don't know whether you're going to see that as a good sign or a bad sign. But that's what I'm going to say.
Or others in his party.
Or others in his party, how they're going to. But it's always a pleasure having you early this morning. Jai Chanakya, as you said. I don't know, Naval Kishore of the RJD is also joining us in our newsroom. Naval Kishore ji, which way are you looking at this? Are you going to say Jai Lalu or Jai, is there something else that you're going to say? He's saying Jai Chanakya. Who is your exit pollster that you are relying on? Or you're relying on Surjit Bhalla? With 175 seats.
Of course. No, I am just going to say that it is Jai for the people of Bihar.
Jai Bihar.
Yes, who has shown the faith in Mahagathbandhan, and they have stood for the development which is with justice, that is social and political justice in the past.
Right.
And they will be looking of a development model which will be not only counter but demolish the development pattern, development model which has been put forward by Modi.
Right.
So
can
yes.
I'm sorry sometimes to ask politicians to stop before the counting comes, because all of you believe that you won the election. That was my only limited point. I just want to get into this X Factor game. There are these 10 X factors that I've listed, and I just want 15 seconds from each of you as to which is that X factor that you believe will be critical come this evening. Veer, quickly.
There's actually an 11th X factor which I didn't think was on your list, and that's the personality factor. The reason they won in 143 constituencies effectively in the Lok Sabha election was because of Modi's...
well, as much as 172 if you add the allies.
Which was entirely because of Modi's own charisma and the belief people had in him. This time around, we'll have to see if that charisma still holds, if it's fading, and if in an assembly election people are swayed by Nitish's record, because from what I can see, there is very little anti-incumbency against him.
Okay.
Yeah.
X factor,
very similar to what we are saying. Last election was won by Modi, and if he loses, this election would have been lost by Modi.
That's a bit unfair, isn't it? I mean, there would be those who are going to say that this is also about Nitish's idea of charisma.
No, that's a flip side.
That's right. Because I'm saying we are going to reach the X factor where the state elections are decided by the quality of the state leadership, the Bihari versus Bahari argument. Do you believe any of those X factors are critical? The Dalit vote, the EBC vote, that there is a sense though that these are the silent voters of Bihar?
See, I think all the X factors are irrelevant.
Are irrelevant?
It's primarily because they all work together. And because all work together, therefore individually they don't count. And when they all work together, new chemistry evolves. And that chemistry, I think, is more towards what Veer was saying in terms of the two personalities in the play. That is, are we looking at local development, or are we chasing the charisma of the distant dream of national development? So I think this is what is going to determine things. If you're talking, and one factor which is not being emphasized enough by even those who talk about caste, is they're not talking enough about scheduled castes. And I'm a little curious about that.
Let me make it clear for our viewers. There are about 14% Dalits today in Bihar. That's 16. Average percentage which is given, out of which 5% are Mahadalits, around 4 to 5% are Paswans, and 4% are Ramdasis, as they are called. That's the non-Mahadalit Dalits who are also important. The non-Mahadalit, the Ramdasis who are equally important. The sense though that you get, Ashok, is there a sense that this is a referendum on Mr. Modi? Is it fair the way we are pitching this election, that it's a referendum on Mr. Modi, or is that inevitable given the kind of aggression with which he's campaigned in Bihar? Is this a personality clash between him and Nitish?
To some degree it is. I wouldn't call it a referendum, but I'd certainly call it a very important and perhaps the most important political test for him since 2014. In a sense, this is a battle for the legacy of the very good government the BJP and the JDU ran in Bihar between 2005 and 2013. Who gets the legacy? Does Nitish get the legacy? Does the BJP get the legacy? And in a sense, the way the MBCs and the Mahadalis vote, both of which were crucial props for that government, becomes important today. Will they vote for Nitish? Will they vote for the BJP?
Quick response from you, Ajit. X factor. Which is the X factor that matters to you?
I think the most pivotal factor in this election, the most important X factor, is the Dalit vote and the MBC vote. See, Bihar politics is basically in the past divided between the Savarn and the so-called backward classes. So in this case, the pivotal vote will be, if the BJP wins, it will not be because of the Savarn vote, because the Savarn vote has always been with them. Because of the drama of Manji that took place just a few months ago before the poll, that will switch the election on the other side.
That's an interesting thing, because traditionally Nitish did very well. I'll just come because we've got Mr. Maji who's been speaking to us. Traditionally, Maji helped Nitish in the last few elections. He pulled the Mahadalits. Nitish got a significant element. It's only 4 or 5% of the population, but it made a difference to the overall tally of the JDU. This time Maji is with the BJP. How much of a difference will that make, Paswan and Maji on one side? Listen in for a moment to Jitin Ram Maji.
नेतृत्व में जो काम हुआ है उस काम को बिहार की जनताओं ने सराहा है और 1.5 साल पहले
that short interview, short clip that we have with Jitin Ram Maji, there he is on your screens. What kind of a role will he play? Have we exaggerated the importance of the Hindustan Awam Morcha, the hum factor in this election? But I also want to go at this moment to Jaiveer Shergill of the Congress, just get a quick reaction from him. From a Congress perspective, you've had a bad 48 hours. You've just lost in Kerala, a state where you control and which is going to the polls in April, May. You've lost in the local elections there. You've had 9 of your MLAs desert you in Assam, which is also going to the polls in April, May. Things couldn't be worse. Is today your last hope? Is today the only... If you lose Bihar now also badly, after taking this big gamble of being the C team of Nitish and Lalu, I mean, things are getting worse for the Congress.
Rajdeep, absolutely not. We are very hopeful, and this is going to be a very good Diwali for Congress. I was hearing the other speakers, 3 Ds will be the decisive factor in Bihar: Dalit, Dal and Dadri. Now BJP's communal propaganda politics, there, even from the start, Rajdeep, take a step back. Grand Alliance campaign was consistent. Even in messaging, even in making of slogans, even in ticket distribution. Whereas NDA, there were cracks within BJP, cracks within NDA. They were, even when Mr. Modi was speaking that Nitish Babu hisab do, there were murmurs in the crowd, pehle aap to 17 mahine ka hisab dijiye. So the only, the game plan with Mr. Modi went into the battlefield was attack political opponents, but completely devoid of his own agenda, blueprint, or even projection of state leadership.
Jaiveer, it's interesting, the Congress, which is contesting just 40 out of 243, and will probably be lucky to get into double digits. If you get into double digits, that will be an achievement. Is calling for an early Diwali, but you are entitled to have one. If you win, you are entitled. Jo jeeta wo Sikandar. But quick response, Sambit Patra, to that, in a sense, is this a referendum? Will the BJP treat this as a referendum on Mr. Modi? Will Amit Shah's leadership as president of the party come under threat if the BJP doesn't win? He comes for re-election, as Ashok pointed out, in January.
See, as far as Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah are concerned, the referendum on both of them was conducted way back in 2014, and Mr. Modi, I believe, is the one politician of this country who is faced with an examination every second day. Every election, we begin with this kind of word, whether it's a referendum on Mr. Modi. I'm thankful that Mr. Modi has passed exams after exams to be one of the most liked Prime Minister of the country today, and that's the reason, not just in country, even internationally. What the Forbes list says that with the 9th most admirable personality in the world. So leave aside whether it's a referendum on the Prime Minister or not, the Prime Minister is working for the country. As far as Mr. Amit Shah is concerned, we have seen Mr. Amit Shah, the charismatic personality, a different kind of organizational man, the man who took UP to a different kind of story altogether. 73 seats, no one predicted, no one expected way back in 2014. Thereafter, state after state, we have marched ahead. I'm sure Bihar, we are doing extremely well, but this is a referendum for development of Bihar.
It has
Bihar
no
want
effect.
Bihar to go ahead.
It has no effect, therefore, you're saying on whether Amit Shah stays on as president or not. Do you agree with that, Javed? Are there BJP leaders who are simply, let's be honest, one of the hidden stories that I find of this election, you talk to BJP leaders privately, and some of them actually want to see the BJP not do as well as, as maybe a Chanakya is predicting. I have never seen that happen to this party before. Why is that? Are there those who are just jealous of the success of Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, or feel marginalized in the BJP today?
I'm not so sure if it's jealousy, but it has a lot to do with their working style. The way, Mr. Amit Shah is seen as this domineering force. He's riding roughshod. He was till 2014 just an MLA, just a minister in Narendra Modi's government, and suddenly he's become the president of the National Party. To say, I'm not so sure if this is a referendum, but both Mr. Modi and Mr. Amit Shah, if they lose, I'm not saying they will, but if they lose, they cannot remain unscathed. There will be consequences.
Let's just settle this. Are state elections a referendum, Ashok? I mean, am I sitting in the studio now as usual looking for my masala and saying, look, the masala is that if the BJP loses, Amit Shah is in trouble. And is there a section within the BJP, is this true, that actually wants to see the BJP lose this election?
No, that I don't know. Obviously, there are factional groups in all parties, but I wouldn't use the word referendum, because I don't think what is being judged here is how well Modi has done as Prime Minister. He's got achievements, he's got failings as well. I think it is a very important political test, because if Nitish Kumar wins, he emerges as a possible face for 2019. It opens up the race for 2019, perhaps prematurely and before Mr. Modi expected. If on the other hand Modi wins and the BJP wins, then there is no serious challenge for some time ahead.
Are we in agreement there that if Nitish Kumar pulls this off, he will be the challenger to Narendra Modi in 2019? Manisha, quickly, 30 seconds. Is he the challenger?
He will be the rallying face around which a lot of, maybe even the dissidents of the BJP could get around to.
But we are only in 2015. 2019 is a long way away. There's a UP election. There are many more elections.
Yeah,
but they aren't leaders like him.
Just on the referendum factor, I do think the voters were talking about a couple of things about the non-performance of the Modi government. Now, if those were issues that the voters were discussing, and the extensive campaigning and the extensive going around by Mr. Amit Shah in all the constituencies, would mean that this, in very large populous North Indian states, there is some opinion formed at the popular level about these two leaders that are leading the party.
The fact is, just 18 months ago, these leaders took them to a big victory in UP and Bihar.
But nothing lasts forever.
No, nothing lasts forever, yes.
No mandate in perpetuity.
But the fact is,
they have failed.
Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Yes.
It's a question of style, Rajdeep. Everybody compares this government to the last BJP government. But Mr. Vajpayee's style was consensual. He didn't have a majority. He had Mr. Advani to contend with. It was a very different government. The parallel for this government, oddly enough, though they both represent absolutely the opposite of each other, is the Rajiv Gandhi government, where Rajiv Gandhi had a majority, thought he was okay. Amit Shah is the Arun Nehru of this government. Arun Jaitley is the Arun Singh of this government. Yeah. It's these three people who run this government.
You given me the masala for the thing. Arun Nehru, Amit Shah is the Arun Nehru of this government. I'm going to remember that. But I interrupted you, Dipankar, on the issue of the Dalit vote before I take a break. No. There is a sense that this Dalit vote, along with the EBCs, is going to be critical in this election. Forget religious polarization, forget those issues, it's there. And there's the Muslim factor. There are as many as 40 seats. I want to tell our viewers there's 40 out of 243 where Muslims will decide who wins. And that doesn't happen in most other states. That's critical in this election.
Muslim factor aside for the time being, and I'll come to the other issues later on, because EBCs and Dalits are very, very different communities altogether. But if you look at the Dalit factor, for example, let's take Gaya, Nalanda, Vaishali.
Yes.
And three different parties have won these elections. Gaya was won by the BJP in 2014.
Yes.
Vaishali was won by Paswan, and Nalanda by JDU. And they have similar scheduled caste configurations, all these three. So if you're talking scheduled caste alone, that doesn't really work that well, because different parties have won in constituencies with identical scheduled caste numbers, number one. Yes. Number two, we talked about who will win and what will happen. What we're missing out is the Congress factor. No, I mean, so far at least, very rarely have Congress and BJP not been the binding cementing factor into all coalitions. So Congress probably is salivating right now that if JDU wins, then they'll again come around Congress, and Congress will be a player.
You know, the Congress is. No, let's be honest. A party which has contested 40 out of 243 is clutching at straws. Quick, 30 seconds. I'm running out of time, Ashok.
We've been working on the assumption in the past few days that Nitish is the strong face of the Gathbandhan and Lalu is the Achilles heel.
Yes.
I have a feeling Lalu has actually delivered his Yadav Muslim votes. What is up for question is whether Nitish has had the organizational capacity to deliver his OBC, MBC.
So you think there's even a possibility that actually Lalu could get more seats than Nitish? Because this is one theory, and that could change equations a lot. Ajit, I'll come to you in a moment. Let me take a break. Into the break, let's listen into Chirag Paswan. Like every other party, the sun is rising. The sun is rising within the RJD, two suns, Tejasvi and Tej Pratap, but there's a sun rising also in the Lok Janshakti party. And in fact, Chirag Paswan's posters today are even bigger than that of his father. Listen to him, and then we'll come back with much more. Counting about to start in 10 minutes from now.
नहीं गॉड फियरिंग हूँ तो इसलिए ऊपर वाले पे विश्वास रखता हूँ, तो ये सब ज़रूर मैं करता हूँ, ऑन अ रेगुलर बेसिस पूजा कर लेता हूँ. बट हाँ, जब खास दिन होते हैं उस दिन मैं विशेष तौर पर अच्छे से भगवान के सामने नतमस्तक होता हूँ. तो आज उन विशेष दिनों में से एक है. बट हाँ, उससे ज़्यादा विश्वास मुझे अपनी मेहनत पर है. पूरे प्रदेश में घूमा हूँ, सबके लिए मैंने प्रचार किया. अपनी पार्टी के लिए तो किया ही, पर भाजपा और रालोसपा और हम पार्टी के लिए मैंने प्रचार किया. और जहाँ जहाँ भी मैं गया